Hello, everyone. This is Derek with Denver Yoga Underground. I want to share some reflections on what we commonly call ego from a yogic lens or perspective. Typically, we tend to think of ego as I don't know, bad, as in a big ego, or he has an inflated ego, or we ought not have an ego like this, or just equate it with Freud, and there's some misconception about it. In Latin, ego simply means I, or which is very akin to how they define it in the yoga sense. The term there is Ahamkara. And what Ahamkara means is just the I sense. I sense. So there's me, a separate individual who's in some ways divorced from the rest of life, right? Like I'm having my thing over here, and there's all this other stuff that's not me happening over here, and I become the central player in the plot of everything that's going on, which is not really true. It's just it's one particular vantage point of interpretation that's all based on the egoic or ahamkara simple notion of I, which is not good or bad in unto itself. However, things get a little more complicated when we think we're separate and right, and that then things get a little tripped up from there. Another consideration from yoga is that the ego or the I, the ahamkara, get this, feels itself most and more when we're suffering or in pain, right? The sense of separation occurs more when I'm in distress. And this could look like resentment, for example. I'm angry because, and so on. Like we feel some affliction from outside, and we kind of knuckle down or double down on this sense of self, the egoic self. Or complaining about situations would be another example where we I don't know, strengthen our sense of self by separating ourselves from outer circumstances as opposed to being more accepting, say. So, you know, ego in many ways is driving the ship, and an important question is in what. So this is where we get into practice, and the question is in what direction, right? Where are we orienting our sense of self? Is it to covet as many external things towards our way? You know, he who dies with the most toys wins. Or in the yogic context, a simple practice then is just to develop positive qualities. Positive qualities can look like being more loving or compassionate or selfless or considerate of others, right? Which may sound kind of fruity on one level, but I'm telling you, there's a real life benefit for that, both for yourself and for others. We don't need to knuckle down into egoic pain nearly as much when we adopt it. And it takes work. It takes dedicated work to resolve and improve upon yourself as a person. Baba Haridas said, the only thing that's required to practice yoga is the desire to become a better person. And in so doing, that's just by its very own nature will expand your sense of self beyond a sense of finite contraction, and you can have a more harmonious and global and accurate perspective as to who you are and how life is holding itself. All right, so pleased to share with you today. If you're curious to know more, I invite you to subscribe somewhere around here, and look forward to sharing future videos. All right, be well.